Hello everyone, welcome back to Talks with Pranab. Today it's my birthday. We are not on the filming day, but the day that you're watching on the 13th of December. So today we are going to do something really fun. Today we are going to talk about, or I'm rather going to share some reflections of my 24th year of life, and we'll do that with some baking. Today we'll talk and bake. So let's jump right into it. Okay, so the hair is tied up and hands are washed. Now I'm going to put my apron on and let's jump into it. Today we are going to make my famous cookies. I used to sell these cookies back in 2023. They used to sell out very quickly. Like whatever stall I used to sell them at or from home, they were always a favorite. It's my own recipe. I developed it for some time and then used a lot of my friends as my guinea pig along with my parents. And then I came to sort of a recipe which I love and all of my friends and family love. So today I'm going to bake it and then have it on my birthday, my actual birthday. So let's start. Okay, so let's jump into the first sort of lesson or reflection of the year. The overarching theme for me this year was healing. Since the beginning of the year, oh, what did I just spoon in this? I didn't see. Clearly, it's hard for me to multitask, but we are going to try. So yeah, the overarching theme for this year for me was healing. Uh, it felt like every month I was letting go of some limiting belief or a thought pattern or people or places. It it's overwhelming, but at the same time I'm really glad that I was sort of thrown into it. It wasn't like a conscious choice at in the beginning, but once I realized that how easy my day-to-day life was beginning to be once I decided to sort of let go of my anxieties, more than let go, deal with them, figure out ways that work for me. It was so much more easier. Okay, so I've put flour in this. Now I'll take the cocoa powder and put into it. It's up to you how much cocoa powder you can add. I love cocoa powder, so I'm going to add a generous amount. For me, I have been sort of putting my mental health on the back burner. I was making conscious decisions to not pay attention to my thoughts or my behaviors or my maladaptive behaviors because it's a lot once you start doing that. It takes up a lot of time and it's energy consuming. So I was putting it on the back burner. I was like, I don't want to deal with this right now. I don't want to deal with this right now. But eventually this year, I had to bring it to the front row of the burner. Yeah, so slowly I started figuring out micro and macro issues that I was going through. And once I realized how easy it is once you accept that you have to make these changes, it is 10 times better and easier. the decision time took me a lot more efforts and time than the actual work of, like, the work that you put in while you're trying to heal. It is not a linear journey. It's tumultuous, it's up and down. One day you're great, one day you're not. And it's just the fact that you have to keep trying, keep going forward. It's the decision that you make that I don't want to live like this anymore. And then you decide and you go ahead with it. So, the entire year since I've turned 24, I have been on this journey. I still am on this journey, but I feel so much lighter as a person as opposed to I felt heavy, like mentally. I was carrying it around everywhere. It was getting to a point where it could burst, and then finally it did in 2025. And then it was the best experience in a lot of sense. I remember the day I decided that this is enough. I can't live like this anymore. It might sound really funny because I am a psychologist to myself, but even for me, even though with all of this training, it was still hard to make that decision. It was hard to finally accept it more than to make that decision. But I decided, I wrote it down in my journal. I had to figure out a bit how I can work through these little issues that I had. It was a lot of trial and error, but then once I figured out what worked for me, have stuck with it. And I feel like over the period of time, I'll still have to figure out for different issues that, because it's not linear, this process, but it's the decision that you make that again, it's enough. I can't live like this anymore. So ironically, I have said this multiple times to my friends and my family that this has been one of the most toughest years so far. But ironically, I'm really glad that I was able to work through all of this and make peace with a lot of situations in my life. Okay, now I'm going to add my sugar into this and give it a mix. Right, so now let's jump into the second reflection or lesson. Good communication will take you miles in your life. I wouldn't categorize, or up until now, wouldn't categorize myself as someone who had good communication skills. I struggled to express myself quite a lot, even as a child, as a teen, even up until like 20 to 23. Then there, I mean, there were a lot of times where a lot of people also misunderstood me because they couldn't understand what I was telling them. I couldn't express myself well. But this year, I sort of figured out what works well for me in the sense of my how my brain works. I had started this process, I want to say, in 2023. It was tough in the sense to figure out what would actually work with my style of communication. And then slowly but surely, I figured out ways to express myself better. I figured out how I can set healthy boundaries with other people without offending anybody, and in the process, also deflating myself, making sure that I don't do that. And people were actually really receptive of that. I think I had some sort of bias against myself that I want to be able to communicate better because I never have, so I'll never be able to. And of course, taking sessions really helped in this process because uh, in that process, also figured out what works well with strangers, right? These are the people that I don't know. So I was able to figure out with the help of sessions as well how I can better my communication style. It also reflected in my writing style, how I was writing my reports or essays in college. Uh, so it's really important once you figure out your key, how you can communicate well with the world around you, your life becomes 10 times better, because then you are able to express yourself correctly without misunderstandings, and then you can have other people also give you feedback if they have felt some type of way, or if unknowingly you said something or communicated something which they didn't like. And communication is both verbal and non-verbal, so just looking at yourself, understanding how what is working for your communication style and what is not will help you figure out what you can do better next time. If you're also someone who struggles with communication, I did a lot, like trust me, a lot. But then once again, it was that decision of like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to be that person who doesn't know how to communicate well. That just decision itself gave me sort of the solution of how I can figure out what works and what doesn't work. And also, it is from person to person, so understanding their communication style as well also matters. It's a learning process, but once you achieve that, it's 10 times better. Your daily life gets better, your overall life gets better. So, yeah. Now I've basically, no, I need this baking soda I need to add. Apart from that, all of my dry ingredients are mixed. Now I need to mix in some wet ingredients. Did I put a lot? So I'm not going to make another ball. I don't want to do more dishes. I'm just going to mix in the wet ingredients in this kit. Now I'm going to melt some butter because it is soft, but I want it completely melted. We need another 10 seconds. We are going to do today. I have an egg. I also have a recipe without egg. I like both ways. So I'm going to do half cup butter and an egg. This is not too hot. So then I'm going to add my egg in. Egg is really cold. Okay. Next reflection. This is sort of reflection that I've been working on since a long time. Uh, it's about how life is better when we think in the gray. So, sounds weird. Let me explain. I've been the kind of person who loves to think in black and white. I don't like to think in the gray, in the nuances, in the unpredictability. I like it either this or that, extremes. And up until literally this year, I strongly tried to do this pretty much every chance. I never really wanted to think in the gray, the unpredictability, anything in that section. I remember when I first started my college, we had a class and we were talking about this during that class. And that was the first time I spoke a lot in that in college, and I was so adamant about how we shouldn't think in the grave. It's like you giving up and this and that. I came up with a lot of explanations. And after the class, one of my classmates came over to my wherever I was sitting, and he went, "You know, right? Your life will be boring if you live like that." And I looked at him and I was like, "What? What are you trying to say to me?" And we sat there and argued for, I want to say hours. I don't recall when we actually stopped talking about that topic. And he continuously was telling me that he was giving me all the anecdotes from his own life where that doesn't work when you're thinking in black and white, when you're thinking in basically extremes. Oops. But I gave him counter more examples of how unpredictable life becomes. And I love predictability. Why would I muddamun go and think or try to live my life unpredictably? So at that time, it did trigger me to think about it a little bit more, but I never really accepted it at that time. But then slowly, as I progressed through my life, his words kept coming back to me. Every time there was something that was up in my life, I was like, I hate to admit this, but he was right. And this year, I feel like I fully embraced it. There were so many situations where if I thought about that situation from a completely extremist point of view, in the sense of black and white, it it would have been really difficult to deal with it. So this year I fully embraced the beauty of nuances, the beauty of unpredictability, the beauty of just great thinking. It's so weird, but yeah, I feel like that was another big lesson that I learned uh, this year. Yeah. So right now this dough is coming together beautifully. I've added everything in it. Unfortunately, I forgot chocolate chips, but it tastes good anyway. It's fine. Now I'll work on this dough a little bit more and then put it in the fridge. After that, we will bake them. Oh, I love this dough. Okay, so I've just put in the dough in the fridge to let it just chill. It's better if you chill the dough. The sun is literally in my eyes, so it's nice. Not it being in my eyes, but on my face. Anyway, I've put it in the fridge and we will take it out in about an hour and then just bake the cookies. I love these cookies. I am so glad that I developed this recipe because I don't need to buy cookies anymore. I can just eat mine. So now I wanted to jump into the next sort of reflection. Okay, so the next reflection I would say is I'm not afraid of failures anymore. I always have been afraid of failures, and me saying this out loud is low-key liberating. Because I have always been like this. I hate failing, and that has affected me negatively. My fear of failure, because I don't try new things then. If even if I do try them out, I hit a threshold where I'm like, okay, now I don't know if I'll be able to not fail anymore. Like if I take the next step. So I don't want to take this next step because somewhere I believe that I'll fail. So I just start many projects and never see the end of it because I am too scared to fail. But this belief totally changed this year because if I hadn't started, because I feel like there were so many projects that I wanted to do both personally and professionally, which required me to take those steps even after when I hit that threshold, and it just helped me to come to terms with failures, and it it was tough to recognize that okay, I can fail. I even failed, but once I came out of that small feeling of like okay, I failed, to next cut to next part, it was like okay, cool, what can I do next to make sure that I don't fail, quote unquote. So I feel like somewhere I have totally dealt with this fear of failure, and I'm so glad because now I don't feel that looming fear on top of my head whenever I'm trying to start something new. I'm just like, let's just give it a go. It works, it works, it doesn't, it doesn't. And we'll figure out what doesn't work and we'll fix it somehow and go forward from it. It was a big lesson for me, for sure. 100%. And sort of the last major realization, reflection, whatever you want to call it, for this year was I love my work. And okay, to give some context here, I don't know if anybody has watched Brooklyn Nine-Nine. There is this scene where the main lead, Jake, walks out of the precinct, and he has worked on this case for a really long time. He's been doing those interrogation interviews, and he walks out saying that, oh my God, I love this job. And I saw this clip, I think in 2019, when I was beginning this journey of being a psychologist. And at that time, I was like, I want to feel that. I want to feel that satisfaction, the joy that comes with it. And I recognized myself doing that a lot this year while I was helping so many people on their journeys of healing. And I love that I'm able to feel that feeling because I know a lot of people don't have that feeling and they just work. Um, and to me, I feel so grateful and honored that I am able to become a psychologist, I'm able to do my job, and I absolutely love doing it. So, yeah, I think that is sort of it for these are major reflections. Of course, I had a lot of minor here and there reflections, but I feel like these were sort of the overarching themes for my 24th year. There are a few more, of course, but yeah, this is what I wanted to share for my birthday. And now we'll see how our cookies come to life. Now I've pulled out the dough from the fridge and now we will bake them. we wait for them to bake and then we'll eat. That's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Really, all of you, all the people who come here and watch my videos, I am so grateful to all of you. Thank you so much for supporting me on this journey, which has just begun. And yeah, I don't know, I just wanted to thank all of you and thank you for listening to all of my yapping. And yeah, I'll see you the next time I put out a video. Bye bye.